Woo, baby, we are going live talking about Meta stock earnings, reacting to what is going on after the Fed meeting. The stock market is rallying insanely right now. And this kind of comes in line with something that I've been saying that, even when stocks last year were posting good numbers, the stock was still falling. And now we're kind of in this new phase where it's completely reversed. Even companies posting bad numbers are rallying insanely. Take a look at Meta here. It is up 17 damn percent in after hours. And I just kind of want to dive down into the numbers. What's going on? I kind of briefed on them already because I kind of delayed the live stream because sometimes it takes them a little while to actually post them. But look at the thread on StockTwits. It is lit to the nines. And congrats to anybody that had the guts to be buying on the dips there because, man, oh man, this sucker's printing, even though we're not seeing the numbers I think we wanted to see. So on that note, folks, I appreciate you joining. Consider hitting that like button. And let's just get right into this. I'm going to pull up the numbers here. We're going to take a look, the good, the bad, the ugly, and just about everything you're probably going to want to know. So just getting into the press release, and then we'll actually pull up the more in-depth press release. We can kind of see the revenues here sitting at about 32 billion for the 3-month end, which is actually down from last year. It's kind of flat, actually, 33 billion in 2021. Costs and expenses are kind of gone up a little bit here. So we can see the income from operations falling off by a whopping, that's a pretty big drop off there, almost 50% over 2021. So we can see their expenditures and just, the slowdowns where it's really starting to bake into Meta here, which, man, oh man, this is the true sign of a recessionary environment. But again, Meta spending a whole lot on Oculus, VR, Reality Labs, which I'm still using religiously. And we need that shit to take off, baby, because I love it. I don't want it to die anytime soon. It's like my love right now, hitting up the VR and playing some Call of Duty like games. But we can see here, guys, that the change on the year end is down 38% on income from operations, from 46 billion in 2021 to 28 billion. Like I'm saying, man, these numbers, you think the stock would tank when you look at numbers like this, but here we are rallying like crazy. But what's the good? There is some underlying really good things to see in Meta here. If we scroll down, take a look at the family daily active people. The DAP was 2.96 billion on average for December of 2022, an increase of 5% year over year. So Meta on the fundamental, user base, it's still growing. We got family monthly active users was up 4%. Facebook daily active users was increased 4%. The month, what is this? The monthly on Facebook. Okay, so this is Facebook. We're talking about families. Facebook monthly active users here increased to, it's increasing across the board. Ad impressions, though, where things get interesting. In the fourth quarter of 2022, ad impressions delivered across our family of apps increased by 23% year over year, and an average price per ad decreased 22% year over year. So even though there's more people getting into ads, clearly they're decreasing the ad rates, right? So for the full year 2022, ad impressions did increase 18% year over year, but the average price per ad decreased by 16%. So really confusing numbers. And I think this is a truer sign of this kind of recessionary environment. Revenue, again, 32 billion. We talked about this. So again, it's nice to see that they're still growing at a really good clip from the bottom line, not bottom line revenue, but bottom line user base. So it's just so astounding to see this thing still growing. Yeah, I think that's a great way to describe this earnings period right now. So I think Meta's setting up to be like the precursor for what we're likely going to see happen with Google, with Amazon. I think this is just truly resilient. Again, nothing saying that Meta isn't going to tank tomorrow either. The stock right now, it just flying to the moon here. We'll pull it up in a little bit, but I want to dive down into the assets, liabilities, and some more of the the numbers just to see where they're sitting at from the broad company perspective. So let me just pull up the actual press release itself here so we can just analyze this just a wee bit deeper for everyone. Oh, sorry about that. Let me re-pull that up there. So here we can just saw the numbers we discussed, but let's scroll down and just see if we can't find what's going on with the underlying aspect of the company's cash position, fundamentals, et cetera, et cetera. If we scroll down here, we should start seeing, we got some diluted EPS numbers, blah, blah, blah. Here we go. So taking a look at the assets here, we can see that from cash and cash equivalents, they went from about 16.6 billion last year, 14.6 billion this year. So still a really healthy cash position overall. Total current assets here sitting at about 59.60 billion. Again, down slightly from last year, but still in a really robust place with a total current asset of 185 billion. So from everything they've been accumulating with property and equipment, all their operations, it has actually increased from 165 billion. So this company is still growing their asset basis. Let's just take a look though, comparable to the total liabilities. And this is where it's still, again, that bittersweet moment of the total liability sitting at about 60 billion. So again, that's up about 20 billion from the 41 billion we saw that time in 2021, right? So again, we're looking at 2021 over 2022 fiscal year. So again, you minus out that extra, 60 billion from, this asset area. We're kind of just where we were. Everything's kind of just remaining the same on this aspect of things. So again, fairly in a healthy position to ride through this recessionary environment. In fact, could they pay off their current liabilities? So accounts payable, total current liability sit at 27 billion. So from that cash position, so they don't even have enough cash right now to pay off their total current liabilities. But again, with 14 billion in cash, they're probably not too worried about it, to be honest. Usually it's nice seeing those companies that can just pay off all their debt at this very moment. But again, Facebook's in such a crazy position here, still making billions of dollars. Like clearly they're not too worried about it. But let's just pull up StockTwits again, and we'll just take a quick peek at what the stock's doing and how people are taking this into consideration. Oh my God, Meta's now up 20 freaking percent. Look at that, sitting at $181, up 21 damn percent. Wow, man. Yeah, we're way above that 17% now. This baby's a rocket ship. Maybe I should have bought back into this in those lows. That's wild, man. Isn't it so surreal that just literally a year ago, these things, like if you posted good numbers last year, your stock tanked. And if you posted bad numbers, they were shitty bad numbers and you're getting devastated. Now it's just like buy stocks. Like if this is a sign to anything, it's you should have been buying the dip, baby. And I'm glad for everybody that follows that cost average strategy, because you just don't know. The stock market's pure fugazi, man. It just doesn't matter. That's why I hate listening to Michael Burry, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, all these negative Nancy guys, because you can't predict stock prices. You just can't. You can predict an economic environment. Sure, maybe things are going to get worse. That doesn't mean the stock market goes down. So anybody that's been just buying puts, just shorting, they're just devastated right now. And they're probably crying themselves to sleep just over the fact that they were right about everything. They're like, I was right, man. It's getting no more ad spend. Blah, 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 blah. Here we are. Unreal. I'm currently up at close 65% for Meta before earnings. Dang, I truly believed in their balance sheet and was rewarded. The company is resilient. Don't get me wrong. I think Facebook, Google, they're going to ride through this recessionary environment, but they're getting hurt. Like they're clearly getting devastated. They're firing people left, right, and center. They're cutting back on Reality Labs, which breaks my heart a little bit. I really want to see VR continue to expand. Wait, are we thinking stocks are going to go down after today's meeting going into the recession or not? If you're talking about the Fed meeting, I don't really know, man. The Fed meeting wasn't all that bad. I found it to be pretty, I listened to it, kind of just grazed through it. Jerome Powell, I think it was more of just kind of a monotone kind of aspect over everything. It wasn't like really positive or really negative. How did you go up if it had a drop in net income and revenue? Because again, people buying, I don't know. It's kind of hard to wrap your head around what people are finding bullish, but what I'm finding most bullish out of that earnings is just the fact the bottom aspect of their users is growing. Every aspect of their user base is growing at a nice clip. Like to be at that scale, having billions of active users a month and still growing at a 4 to 5% pace. Again, it shows some resiliency. But again, what we're seeing right now is in the recession, people are having a harder time spending ad dollars. So to incentivize them to spend more money, they lower the ad rates, which I'm personally seeing because I run Google ads, I run Facebook ads, and I've seen that as well. I'm getting way more views per cost, which is pretty wonderful all in all. But again, did any of you guys buy the dip on Meta? My fiance still has wonderful exposure to it. Clearly, if you could have bought it around that $100 a share. Same with Tesla. I think Meta is a more pronounced company if I were to buy something than Tesla was, just from a valuation standpoint, because Meta by far was the cheapest tech company out there. And it just, things can only get so cheap before you hit this rock bottom where, you're just well below its current values. I couldn't really put a price target on Facebook because the market's completely fugazi and I just don't know what the macro environment's going to do to it. But I just want to say congratulations to everybody that's been picking this stock up and just having the guts to go through with it. I know it's been a big proponent, I think, of everything money. They've been talking that Meta was a great buy. I think they were picking it up. What about the sky is falling, Peter Schiff? Yeah, this is why I called the bottom of the stock market in October when I dumped over $10,000 and picking up some of those lows in the indexes, right? Because when people are most negative, just like when people are most euphoric, it's usually a good time to take profits and a good time to buy on the other spectrum. Yeah, look at that. Meta's up like 90% in the last 3 months. Wow. Meta is resilient, and they are hurting, however, as a long-term value play without factoring in the Meta investment. Who knows where this goes? So let's just talk about that real briefly, because the reason I like Meta is you kind of get this fundamental business, these fundamental user bases. You got Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, Marketplace. Like, it's just a slew of product offerings, and that's kind of your base. Like, you're paying fair value for that, in my opinion. I'd have to run some value on it at 180, but when you were buying it for 120 a share, like, you're clearly getting a discount on that fundamental business. It's still growing. Users are still going up. So that's where the value is in for Facebook. But the cherry on top of the cake is obviously the metaverse play. The big problem was the amount of money they were spending on it, really relying on that. So if they could and they have done this, they've cut back on the spending so they can increase that EPS. So you're kind of getting a good balance. This is something that I don't think Tesla has, because Tesla has that fundamental car play. So the EV market, it's exploding. Yeah, they're growing dramatically, but they're valued like they're 5-10 car companies combined. So you're not getting a discount on that business, and that's the only business they make money on. So you're really gambling on the future of self-driving, robotics, AI. So that's why I have such a hard time wrapping my head around Tesla stock right now. But with Facebook, I mean, it's so much easier to get a value play on it, right? So my average price for Meta is $92. You caught it down that far. Jesus, man, good for you. I got to go celebrate with my fiance, because I told her when I sold my Facebook at 220 a share, she was still holding on to it, and I couldn't get her to sell it. She's like, no, I'm going to hold this long. She wrote it all the way down to the lows. And now she's probably actually well above, or not well above, but she's definitely back over her buy price, because we were picking it up in the pandemic lows. So I think her average buy is closer to like 170. So she's probably green on it now, which I'm going to applaud her for being a little bit more stable than I am in my investing philosophies and how I am in and out of companies. Metaverse will pay off. I hope so. Like I said, coming from somebody that uses it 4 days a week, I've actually been getting shredded. I don't like gloating. I don't really care about the way people look. I'm not really, materialistic, or what's the direct term for that. But I've been working out using the Oculus 4 days a week, and I'm actually getting like shredded. Like, I'm actually getting ripped. My fiance is kind of jealous, because she's just like, man, like, what happened over 6 months? Been ripping the VR for like a year now, and it's so aggressive for me that, like, I've been getting super in shape. So that's why I love Meta. They're getting me back off my computer and into the metaverse, where, trust me, if you play some of those games, man, your heart gets pounding. I gave up Fortnite, Call of Duty just to play VR, and that's all I've done now religiously for like a year. Yeah, congrats to everyone. The memes are exploding here on Stock Twins. I remember buying this, I remember buying this day when everyone in the market was saying Meta was over and there was no value here. I just looked at their user base and said, wait, they're not done yet. Totally agree, man. Good for you. Stay healthy. Yeah, in this recessionary environment, people get pretty depressed. You see MO, Altria Group, Philip Morris, people smoking, all that stuff go way up. I've actually been really good. I don't drink alcohol. I don't think I've really drank. The most alcohol I drank last year was when my buddy, unfortunately, had cancer. He passed away in December, but we were getting together on like a weekly basis, and I'd have a small drink. But typically, I don't drink at all. So I've kind of really gotten back into the health game of things. What games are you playing on Oculus? I highly recommend Population 1. It's like Oculus's it's like their version of Fortnite or Call of Duty. Super aggressive. Your heart gets pounding. It just takes it to a whole new level. I absolutely love that game. The Resident Evil games are great. There's tons of awesome games. You can find something that you'll probably love. Even like the workout games are good. Obviously, the popular games like the Beat Saber, super awesome. But the money they spend setting up the metaverse, now they're top of their game. What else we got? Cut their initial sales forecast in the half, I heard, for PSVR 2. I know that's gaming only, but still not reassuring for VR. VR is going to be a long-term play. It's like Tesla self-driving, right? Like, that's not around the corner tomorrow. It's going to take a good several years for that to come into fruition. But like I said, you're getting a good fundamental business at a good value. And if you believe in it long-term coming out of this recessionary environment, the stock should do fine. And presuming the cherry on top of the cake works out, this VR stuff, you're going to make a good fortune off this thing if you believe in that future. Need to get into shape myself. Yeah, my man, you got to get into shape. You got to live long enough to enjoy the money. telling you that you don't want to get to your 50s or 40s and start having heart attacks and strokes. There's no point doing all this work if you're not going to live to enjoy it. Sony, I mean, yeah, Sony is their only competitor, right? But at least, Meta is leading in the VR space. And like I said, I do believe it has a future. But at this point, folks, I really appreciate you all coming around for this. Ever since I did the Meta live streams when it started to crash and just the crazy response to it all, I think I'm just going to keep doing the earnings for these companies because we got Amazon, we've got Google coming up, Apple's coming up. So maybe we'll kick it off over the next couple of days and just get together and have these little chats because, I mean, they're super fun and exciting. Can you use altcoins in B World? And if so, which are the most popular? If you're talking about like the metaverse, I think they should adopt some kind of these in-game currencies because even in Population 1, you're buying skins. Same thing with Fortnite. There's a lot of in-game purchases, but there's no way of taking them out into the real world. So I'm hoping inevitably, Mark Zuckerberg seems very cognizant of the blockchain, and that would be huge value, baby. If they can start actually implementing VR, realities that are, movable in the real world, or even like in-game casinos, which I play poker. I mean, if you love poker, gambling, you can join Poker Stars. They have VR games I play all the time with friends where we sit down and play poker. It's not for real money, but it is fun to get in a round table with a bunch of guys and just play some casino games. In all seriousness, what really happened, what really helped them was getting their expenses in check. Yeah, I'd agree. The markets were wild last year. Everyone spent more money than they probably should. And now we're coming back to a place of reality. And that includes Meta's price. Meta's price clearly got too fundamentally undervalued. And the market's starting to recognize it. TikTok, while Meta isn't done yet. I love TikTok though, man. That thing prints money. I make a lot of money off TikTok. Love your channel. I appreciate it, brother. Chad, you're awesome. I really appreciate everyone coming out. Stay cool. Stay awesome, guys. And I'll catch you in tomorrow's live stream. And we'll do this again, man. This is a lot of fun. Peace out, everyone.